Welcome to the Leaner, Stronger and Confident as Fuck podcast. The festive season is officially here and in full swing. I don't know about you, but my social calendar is pretty stacked right now. Every weekend there is something going on. There is parties, there is indulgent foods, there is extra drinks for anyone who wants to take them. There's lots and lots of social fun times as well. And that's all great from the fun side of things, but it can also be the perfect storm, unfortunately, for fat gain over this time. And the thing is, if you just go with the flow or with a mission to eat and drink all of the things, which I definitely used to do in many, many festive seasons gone past, it can end up becoming a time that you end up looking back on and being like, oh, I really regret doing all of the things and now I feel horrible come the new year. But it really doesn't have to feel like that. And you can still have a great time while also actually maintaining the habits that are going to help you look, feel, and perform your best. There really is a way to kind of go through it in a little bit more balance, but also feeling like you're not being super restrictive. And so what I want to do in this episode is just share 12 strategic, realistic things that you can actually do so that you can stay aligned with your goals, whatever they are, and start the new year feeling like you are still on track with them. And so I called this episode 12 Ways to Avoid Festive Fat Gain, because sometimes the idea of just maintaining, because I was going to call it 12 Ways to Maintain this Christmas, but sometimes the idea of just maintaining feels boring to so many people. And even though it shouldn't, I am a big proponent of how maintenance is amazing. Maintenance is where your body thrives. Maintenance, you can still make great progress with lots of other parts of your health and fitness journey. But sometimes we kind of need to feel like we're avoiding the biggest pain to be able to take action. And so if you put some of these things into practice in your own journey, you can avoid what unfortunately for so many people can end up being a time of year where they do end up putting on a little bit of festive fat. Now, a lot of people do statistically gain weight each year. Most of that does happen, according to studies, in the festive season. And so that doesn't necessarily mean that people put on a lot at this time. Studies have shown that adults typically gain around half a kilo to a kilo at this time of year. Now, again, that is not a lot in the grand scheme of things. But the problem is that most people don't lose it again in the year that follows. It ends up hanging around and then it keeps stacking on year after year. And that's how so many people end up waking up 10 years down the track and being like, where did this extra 10 kilos come from? And it's not a dramatic moment that's caused it. It's the buildup of things, the years and years of where it has ended up increasing and it hasn't been lost in the months that follow. So before we dive into these 12 ways to avoid festive fat gain and to maintain your progress and really thrive this festive season, it's so easy to listen to things like this and thinking, yeah, that all sounds like a great idea. I get it. That sounds good. I can do that. But if you actually want these strategies to work for you, you have to work the strategies. And I'm not saying you have to put all 12 of them into practice, but what I do encourage you to do is to pick 2 to 3 that resonate with you, that you know that if you committed to those, it would really make the biggest difference for you. And then start putting it into practice this week. Or you could pick a couple that you put into practice this week, pick another couple to put into practice the following week, so that you really can actually get the benefits of them, which is what this is all about. So I'm going to start with them right now. Number 1 of these 12 ways to avoid festive fat gain is to pre-plan your indulgences. Decide in advance which indulgences are really worth it to you and which aren't. Because there are some meals, some experiences, some events where you're like, yeah, you know what? I really do want to go and have the 3 courses, or I really do want to try a bit of everything there, or I really do want to have some of that dessert or have more drinks on that occasion. And that really matters to you because of whatever reasons that you might have for it. But if we treat every single one like that, that's where the problem tends to kind of come in, with us kind of feeling like it's just a free-for-all across like a whole month's period. So instead, just decide which ones are really worth it to you, commit to those, and make a plan around it. so that you can be really intentional with your decisions, really enjoy the ones that matter to you, and then make some amendments on the ones that aren't as big a deal to you, where you are kind of happy to be more restrained, to say no to some elements of it, and to just focus perhaps on the experience of being there. So that's number one, pre-plan your indulgences. Number two is to use the 80-20 principle. Now, you might have heard this in terms of, you have 80% whole foods, 20% soul foods generally is a really great tactic with your nutrition. But I want you to also think about this on a macro level when it comes to the festive season. Thinking about hitting your key habits like 80% of the time across this next month. And then for the rest of the 20%, allow some more indulgences, some more relaxation, and really generally just enjoy it guilt-free. It's when the habits end up getting more like 50-50 or 20 in the habits being done and 80% just off the rails that again, the problems start to stack up. So it really is about exploring what balance looks like in this period. And you can also think about it still in that 80-20 rule when it comes to 80% whole foods, 20% soul foods. But you can also think about it on your day level in terms of 80% of today. And of course, you don't need to get specific with your percentages, but just to give you a kind of general rule of something to kind of follow as a guideline. Most of the meals today, I'm going to really focus on hitting my targets. And then the other 20%, I'm going to enjoy some more relaxation and indulgence. And same thing in terms of a week level. Again, plan your indulgences, the 20% that really means something to you. And then the other 80%, control what you can control. Really focus on prioritizing nutrients and focusing on fueling your body in a way that's going to help you look, feel, and perform your best. Number three is to prioritize protein and veggies and fruits first. So make nutrient-dense foods the foundation of your plate before adding in those extra indulgences and treats. So those things are going to help you, first of all, stay satiated. And they're also going to make sure you are getting enough fiber and keeping yourself feeling like you are nourishing your body as well as enjoying the indulgences along the side. Then once you've taken care of those real kind of pillars of your nutrition, then it's so much easier to be able to include those indulgences and still feel good at the end of the day and still feel good at the end of the week as well. So build your plates, first of all, with those protein and veg in mind, especially the meals that you can control. And then again, focus on that number two rule of that 80-20 principle the rest of the time. Number four is to focus on non-scale wins, because at this time of year, if you are continuing to weigh yourself daily and take the average, for example, which is something that I personally do myself and I do with all of my clients as well, you might find that the scale is jumping all over the place at this time of year. This is normal if you are eating out a lot more, if you are having more sodium-rich foods, more indulgent foods, more carbs, then this causes your body to hold on to water. And so you will naturally end up weighing a bit more on the scale. But this doesn't mean that it is fat gain. And if you let it get in your head thinking that it is, it can easily just derail the whole process and make you just kind of go down a fuck it spiral. So think about the non-scale wins and don't judge what is going on at this month just by what the scale alone is telling you. That is never going to set you up for success on any part of your health and fitness journey anyway. But really focus on tracking your strength over this festive period, especially if you are training at the moment, lifting weights 3 to 4 times a week, and you are following a structured plan that allows you to see your strength improvements. Those extra calories around are going to be going to good use to focus on really great sessions. Set yourself some goals of what you want to lift in your key lifts in the gym. Focus on tracking what your energy is like, your mood, or your fitness milestones of whether you are managing to implement the 80-20 guidelines. Focus on those kind of wins and those forms of progress, or the fact that you are finding some balance at this time of year. Focus on those methods of progress and stop taking so much emphasis on the scale, because that is going to set you up for a much better festive season overall. Then number 5 is to decide your anchor habits. This is absolutely crucial at a time of year when your routine is pretty much like just thrown up in the air, certainly around like the Christmas and New Year weeks. Lots of people are off work, not having to, maybe do school runs or anything that, typically kind of allows you to stay in a more consistent routine. And so at that time, it's really important to decide what habits you are going to anchor in each day to be able to create a semblance of routine for yourself at a time of year when your other routine might be thrown up in the air. So have something like, every day you're going to go outside for a walk. You're going to have a water target that you're going to hit without fail. You are going to still hit a fiber target. You're going to have some food prepped in the house so that you can easily grab something if you are running, back and forth between different social events, so that it's easy for you to control, again, the meals that you can control. And this is about finding the anchor habits that you can commit to no matter where you are and what you have going on. They're going to be slightly different for every single one of us, but those ones that I just mentioned about walking, water, and fiber and protein are definitely ones that are going to help you look, feel, and perform your best. And definitely focus you still on health and getting enough nutrients, which is also going to help you crowd out any kind of like cravings and things that are going to make you want even more of the indulgences that might be around this time of year as well. Then number 6 is to have a social strategy. So instead of thinking about Christmas as just this one big thing, or the festive season as this 1 month long thing with loads of social events in, think about each week the social events that you do have going on and approach each one individually of what are you going to do in this one? Which indulgences matter to you in this particular occasion? Do you want to eat before you go so that you're not picking at things while you're there? Are you bringing a dish to something, a social gathering? And can you take control by bringing a protein-rich dish yourself? Can you decide how many alcoholic drinks that you're going to have before you go so you're not just kind of like winging it or, again, going with the flow? Like, there are times in your fitness journey where going with the flow is perhaps something that you're able to completely do and still get the results that you want. So all of this is also going to be relevant to where you're at in your journey. Someone who doesn't have a tendency to all or nothing, or who has been in a long maintenance phase, who already has these foundational habits in place, is probably in a position to go with the flow more than someone who is trying to work on a goal of fat loss and is on a diet break, or someone who typically does have a tendency towards all or nothing. And so you need to know the things that you want to work on, the goals that you have, and where you are in that journey of achieving them as well. But for every single person, having a plan is going to reduce overwhelm and mindless choices, which is the things that tend to trip so many people up. Then number 7 is to get your training done earlier in the day. So most of my clients train just 3 times a week. So for most of us, no matter what you have going on in the festive season, training 3 times a week is still completely doable. Even if, for example, you have an adjustable set of dumbbells at home, you can just do a dumbbell-based workout. And if you focus on getting it done first thing, earlier in the day, then you can just allow yourself to be spontaneous with the rest of the day. You can then allow yourself to, doesn't matter if something crops up that you need to go and do something else spontaneously, or you have to go and like fit something else in throughout the day. I know myself that I've never successfully managed to stay consistent with afternoon training because I find all these reasons to come up with of why I don't have time for it, why I'm too tired, or something else needs to come up. And that's as someone who loves training. And yet I know that I need to get my training done first thing in the morning to be as consistent with it as I want. And so even if you are an afternoon trainer and you generally love it, if you find yourself dropping off at this time of year, see how you can get it done earlier so that it doesn't take a back seat, because staying consistent with just 3 weights workouts a week across the festive season is going to be so important for your body composition goals. And if you need help with a training plan for that, if you're watching this on Instagram, you can just comment 6 in the comments below, so the number 6, and I'll send you a free strength training plan that you can do just 3 times a week in the gym or at home. And if you are watching this on Spotify or you're listening on Apple, you can just click the link in the show notes below. Then number 8 is one that might not be popular, but it can make a world of difference. And that is to track it all. Track everything that you are eating and drinking. And what I mean by this is, even if you go completely overboard, even if you have a day where it all goes completely wrong, still just track it. First of all, tracking is such a great awareness tool of exactly what you are consuming. And it can be really easy when you are in a season perhaps of lots of indulgences around to bury your head in the sand and think not tracking is going to actually help. But the thing is that the foods that you're eating and the things that you're drinking, they're having an impact on your body composition, whether you track it or not. If you track it, you have the opportunity to firstly learn how many calories you might be eating in a surplus, so you know where your surplus calories are. Or you might also just find that by the act of actually just tracking it itself, you are able to be much more mindful, and it naturally helps you stay much more within your maintenance range. Because we all have a tendency to kind of forget how much we've consumed throughout the day, and we think, oh, I only just had another couple of hundred. But the reality can be that you actually had like 1,000 calories over. And if you commit to being really honest with yourself about what you've been having, and bearing in mind, this is for people who are working towards body composition goals. So this really does matter for your goals, how much you are consuming and whether you are within a maintenance range. Committing to track across the whole Christmas period will be so eye-opening for you. And it really will help you be more mindful. And even if, like I said, you overshoot your goal, or you don't have a goal but you know that you're over your maintenance calories, it's also going to give you so much data. So track everything, be honest. And if it feels like you are tracking, finding it hard to track when you're eating out, even if, for example, you just loosely tracked it, that tracking something is better than nothing. Or you loosely kind of put in even 1,500 calories for that meal, and then you also put in the alcohol that you had. That is going to be much better than just pretending it didn't happen or just not tracking anything at all. So that's number 8. Number 9 is to take each week at a time. So similar to what I mentioned earlier with the social strategy. If you are trying to just think of it as a whole, all the month of all the things that you've got going on, it can feel really overwhelming to make a plan for it. But instead, just take it a few days, a week at a time, and think about the things that you're going to focus on each week, the events that you're going to plan around each week, and then think about the weekly wins that you're having along the way. If you take that time to plan and then reflect, it will give you so much gold in your journey. And again, it will give you so much more awareness and mindfulness that will translate into better results. And remember, better results at this time of year can be maintaining. That is great. That is great as a result. Maintenance is progress for so many people. And so if you choose to see it as that and plan for that, it will set you up for so much more success. What I've been doing with all of my clients is looking at their Christmas plans with them, working out their maintenance calories, and then taking each week at a time with the events that they've got going on and planning some higher days around their social events, lower days around the ones that are quieter for them, so that they can generally keep on track with their average across the week. And even if, for example, it is really just Christmas week where the calories might kind of be more than their maintenance ones, because on Christmas Day, I've tracked Christmas Day before, and it's easy for it to be 3,500 calories at a minimum for so many women. And that's before drinking a lot. If you drink a lot, you could easily consume 4,000 calories for sure. But if, for example, you were going to drink a couple of drinks, you were going to enjoy lots of food across the day, you could still easily consume 3,000 to 3,500 calories. But you could also still plan for that across the week and still come out with your average maintenance. Or at the very worst, still just come out a little bit above it. And at the end of the day, that's not going to be a big deal in the grand scheme of things. It's when it ends up being so much higher, and it ends up being like not just that week, but the week after and the week before, that it can turn into the festive fat gain that so many people do really want to avoid. And then number 10, don't miss twice. This is something from James Clear's book, Atomic Habits. Highly recommend it if you have not read it or listened to it on audiobook. Instead of thinking that, okay, if something goes wrong, it happens to all of us. We have best laid plans, we make a plan, we've taken each social event at a time, we think that we're going to be really strong on what we're going to say, and then, it all goes wrong. In itself, that is not a problem. It's when that happens on a Friday and then you think, you know what, I'll just start next week, or I'll just start on January the 1st. So that ends up being 2 weeks of completely just being like, whatever. If you have that mantra of don't miss twice, then that means that, okay, so last night didn't go according to plan. Breakfast though, I'm going to go back to prioritizing protein, getting enough nutrients, making sure I'm having mostly whole foods, planning out my day, and enjoying myself, but with a plan. If you did that, you would make so much more progress in your general health and fitness journey, and especially at this time of year. So if things go wrong, don't quit. Take some time to have a look at what happened. Can you plan for it better next time? And then just get straight back into whatever it was that you actually wanted to do. So learn, reset, move forward. Once you've taken any lessons from it, don't waste any time feeling guilty. It's completely pointless, because at the end of the day, it's not one indulgent meal or one massive night that's the problem. It's when it does end up spiraling that it does end up leading to the results that we don't want, which is often that festive fat gain. So number 11 is a bit of a different one. To be a Christmas rebel. This is something that I am embodying as an identity over the festive season myself, because I am in a photo shoot prep for myself for a personal goal. I'm working towards a fitness photo shoot in June next year. And I'm not in a fat loss phase right now. I am in a primer phase, so I am eating at maintenance. But I have decided to go through this whole prep alcohol-free, and I am really focused on staying not just consistent with my goals over this next month, but continuing to make progress with them too. And this is against what so many people are doing at this time of year. And instead of feeling like I have FOMO, or feeling like I am the odd one out, or that, I wish I could do what everyone else is doing, I instead am taking personal pride myself. I'm not bragging about this to anyone. I'm not bragging about it here. I'm just telling you as a strategy in case you want to do it too. But I'm just taking personal pride in my own decisions. I don't mind what anyone else does with their Christmas. It's up to each and every single one of us. My last Christmas was more indulgent than this one will be, for sure. But I am taking pride in the fact that I'm kind of just rebelling against what most other people do at this time of year. I'm not going to drink. I'm still having a great time. I am saying no to some things that I would sometimes say yes to, but I'm focusing instead on just kind of being really excited about the goal that I have. And I'm also really focusing on the things that really matter to me at this time of year, which is seeing my family, seeing my friends. I'm loving the socializing, the connection, the experience with people, but it doesn't have to be about how many drinks did I consume or how much chocolate did I eat. I can still enjoy all of those things without overindulging. And by focusing on what the experience actually really means to me is something that's really helpful for that. And so how you see yourself in relation to your goals is a key part in achieving them and being able to keep the result after. This is about an internal shift with your identity, how you see yourself, and your mindset and approach to it as well. And so, like I said, you can go into a situation which you want to be different in. For many people, they want to have a great time at Christmas, but they don't know how to do it without eating and drinking all the things. And this took me a long time to change this habit myself. So I completely get it if that's where you're at for a start. But when we are in that position of changing a habit that we might have had for years and years and years, and we're surrounded by other people who perhaps are just kind of, going YOLO at this time of year, and it looks fun, but then they feel crap in January, and we know that we don't want to feel like that, then it's okay as well if it's a bit awkward when you're in this in-between of changing it. So if this is perhaps the first year when you are going to approach something differently, where maybe you have decided you want to moderate your alcohol intake, or you don't want to just like consume 4,000 calories at Christmas Day and you want to feel better, on Boxing Day, for example, or you want to go into the new year feeling like you're not behind on your goals, whatever it looks like for you, if that's different to every other year that you've done before, allow it to feel a bit awkward. Allow it to feel a bit uncomfortable, because that is the nature of changing a habit. It is uncomfortable in that middle period, but once it has become more solidified in your life, it is so worth it. And if you get through this Christmas while shifting some of those habits, next Christmas is going to be so much easier, and the next one, because there is always going to be another one. And so if you really want to change a behavior that hasn't perhaps been serving you in the past, then it's going to feel awkward at some point. So you might as well get the awkwardness out of the way. And I don't want to set that up for go and expect it to be awkward, but just if it feels a bit awkward while you change some of these behaviors, that is okay. This is the nature of creating a new identity. And maybe your new identity is someone who enjoys their social situations, their festive season, but ends up feeling good come New Year, having had that balance and actually worked out what that balance feels like. Then the last one is to get support. So whether that is checking in with a friend or accountability partner or a coach, or however it looks for you, sharing your goals, having a community around you, having someone who's going to hold you to the standard that you have set for yourself and help you through the struggles. All of this is going to make it much easier for you to follow through on the things that you want to say, or the things that you say that you want to do, I should say. I, like I said, have signed up with a coach to work on this goal that I have to do a fitness photo shoot in June next year. And I started working with this coach, it's about a month ago now. And this, even though I believe I would have still committed to being alcohol-free this Christmas, I've done so many stints now of being alcohol-free that to do one at Christmas doesn't really feel like a big deal to me. But at one point, it massively would have done. I think I could have still stuck to that without any kind of like support of a coach. But I definitely want to level up my results as much as possible for this fitness photo shoot. And I would be saying yes to more social meals out and, having 3 courses instead of, maybe just like 1.5 on like some of the meals and other things that would be absolutely fine if my goal was to just maintain. But if I want to really progress my physique in the way that I want to in the next 6 months, I want to approach this Christmas differently. And having that accountability is something that I know works really, really well for me. There is a reason that when my alarm went off at 5:30 this morning, I got up and I went to the gym and I've got a bunch of my steps in because I have a check-in to do with my coach on Monday, and there is no way that I'm saying that I missed any of my targets. In comparison, my husband stayed in bed because he'd gone out and had drinks with some friends the night before, slept terribly because he'd had some drinks, did not go to the gym even though he said he was going to come to the gym today, and has not done any steps or got out of the house yet. And again, it's completely his journey and that's fine. But if he had, someone to keep him accountable to a particular goal, and he doesn't have a particular goal like I do right now, then he also would have taken some different actions. And so sometimes we just need that extra bit of support or a bit of check-in to be able to, help us do the things that we do really want to do. So have a think about what that could look like for you. Like I said, it could just be a friend. It could be someone who, a family member who you can do it with. Or of course, it could be a coach. But there you have it. Those are the 12 ways to avoid festive fat gain, to really focus though on maintaining and thriving this festive season. That really is what it's all about. Not just get through it and end up feeling crap in January, not just kind of hope that it works out, but to actually have a plan. So like I said, pick 2 to 3 that resonate with you the most and focus on putting them into action. I'm going to whiz through the 12 in a list and then close it there. So it was pre-plan your indulgences. Number 2, use the 80-20 principle. Number 3, prioritize protein and veggies and nutrients in each meal. Number 4, focus on non-scale wins. Number 5, decide your anchor habits. Number 6, have a social strategy for each event. Number 7, get your training done first, so it's a priority. Number 8, track everything, even when it goes wrong. Number 9, take each week at a time rather than thinking about the month as a whole. Number 10, don't miss twice, just get straight back into your plan at the next meal. Number 11, be a Christmas rebel. It's okay if you want to be different and do things in your way. Number 12, get support. So there you have it. And of course, if you do want extra support to stay consistent and manage all the things that you have going on, then of course you can apply for coaching with the show notes below, whether that is for the rest of this year you want support or going into 2026. So thank you so much. I hope you have a fantastic weekend, and I will look forward to speaking to you on the next episode. Bye.